Just when we thought we had seen it all, new receipts were revealed that could stun the entire love and hip-hop glow. Chrissy Lampin and I made our toxic relationship public, but what's really happening behind the scenes? How did these two become caught up in all of this drama, betrayal, and general messiness? For what reason is Yandy going crazy? We're talking about private meetings, leaked correspondence, and reports of it. When we investigated this intricate, astounding controversy, you won't believe what we found. Buckle up, because it's going to get nasty. Chrissy Lampkin is known for being straightforward and direct. This questionable relationship surprises even the most ardent devotees. Was this the last betrayal, or was it always going to be this way? You'd better get some popcorn since this tea is hot. After watching this film, I can assure you that your opinion of Chrissy and me will change. Queen from Love and Hip Hop then arrived, followed by Ms. Harris, sir. Despite my changes, I always seem to get entangled in drama. What if I told you, though, that these two conceal a lot of their history? What if I told you that there is evidence that reveals surprising connections between Chrissy and Mies? Let's start with how they even know each other, as they haven't really crossed paths on camera in that way. When Chrissy and Jim Jones were having so many financial difficulties, there were rumors that money was being transferred in ways that weren't totally legal. Can you tell who was part of the plot to make those transactions disappear, based on the sources? Yes, it's N himself. Chrissy and Jim's ongoing involvement with Yandy Smith, who was in circles too similar to Chrissy's own, further aggravated the problem. We're talking about late-night business dealings, shared friends, and let's say favor exchanging. A roller coaster of a relationship, huh? We saw her pop the question on national television, but he later changed his mind and stayed away from marriage for more than 10 years. What if I told you that Jim was hilarious for another reason, namely because of a certain someone who had a history of trespassing in places he wasn't permitted to? You're all following me because you know that things will get out of hand. There are rumors that Chrissy and M have a more profound relationship than just money. Oh dear, we have sources. Guess who was spotted slinking in and out of Chrissy's old condo when Jim Jones was out of town for a few weeks? An unidentified source close to the investigation just revealed this alarming information. Guys, you already know where it's going. There were stories of discreet meetings, late-night parties, and some really dubious behavior between the two. But that's exactly what we're here to do, so get this straight. Let's talk about these so-called business dealings since, as you may know, my business always gets a little too personal. The worst part is that Yandy lost her mind after finding out. As you know, Yandy is determined to defend me no matter what, but even she couldn't ignore the warning signs when this article came up. You respond, perhaps he was just attending to business. According to reports, it began to circulate that Yandy confronted me about his relationship with Chrissy. Let's just say that things didn't work out because she began asking him questions that he couldn't answer and pulling out receipts that he believed were hidden. The more she investigated, the less it made sense. And this is where things become complicated because men in Washington, D.C. don't just categorically reject anything. Rather than employing the standard, "Why are you bringing up old stuff?" tactic, he told Yandy that she was tripping because it wasn't what she thought, that people just like to chat. Here's where he went wrong, though. When Yandy asked him about those late-night visits in connection with the time of specific transactions, he simply became very quiet. We can all agree that it's a warning flag when men stop talking while under pressure. For years, Yandy and Chrissy have also been at odds. Throughout that time, Chrissy publicly showed her disrespect for Yandy by calling her dirty and impolite and even accusing her of attempting to sway Jim's career. Mendeecees was ready to go, and she did, despite the fact that she was pushing shady behind her back. We've heard that Chrissy wasn't prepared, which is why she pulled up with all the smoke and receipts. What if Yandy arrives at a private event with a select guest list completely composed? I've got something for you, but you know that's the risky kind of calm. She goes straight up to Chrissy, looks her in the eye, and asks, "So, how long have you?" Chrissy was shaken and tried to laugh it off by saying that Yandy was doing too much. but Yandy produced screenshots of transactions and texts that looked too personal for business purposes. Part 1. I have someone who saw you two together, and they're ready to talk, y'all. Part 2. Oh, we're getting even deeper into it. The woman who was always 10 steps ahead of Yandy and always prepared to make a comeback seemed caught completely off guard when Chrissy froze for the first time. She had screenshots, timestamps, and most importantly, someone who had seen it all. Now, you all know how Chrissy gets when she's backed into a corner and doesn't fold easily, so what does she do? She laughs in Yandy's face as if the whole thing were a joke. The actual chaos began when Yandy took out her phone, tapped the screen, and said, "You might want to hear what this person has to say before you start laughing too hard." The room fell silent, and Chrissy's expression briefly changed, but Yandy took it as a sign of unease, and that was all Yandy needed. Let's talk about this mystery witness, because who is this person, and how did they directly know about Chrissy and M's alleged? The messy part is business. The person in question is none other than an old co-worker of M's who used to handle some of his transactions. Let's call him Dre. Dre had been with Mez for years, so he knew how Mez worked, who Mez met, where he transferred his money, and most importantly, who he was hanging out with when he wasn't with Yandy. And guess what? Dre had receipts. Let's take a moment to stop, because Chrissy was still trying to act unconcerned at this point, sipping her drink as if Yandy wasn't saying anything. It was important, but then Yandy pressed play on the voice recording, and the entire room erupted because it was so clear that you could hear Dre telling him over and over again, "I keep this low-key. I don't need no extra eyes on me." And the part that really caught me off guard was when Dre said, "Mez has told me himself that Chrissy got something over him, which is why he kept going back." At this point, the tension in the room was so high that you could cut it with a knife, and Chrissy's expression went from smug to stone. She was enjoying this, Yandy, but it was chilly, so she leaned in and said, "Do you want to laugh now, or should I go on?" Chrissy yelled, got to her feet, and threw her drinks in Yandy's face while pointing fingers as if she were about to do so. "You really think I have to explain myself to you over some fake-ass recording of you reaching Yandy? And it's embarrassing." But here's the thing. Yandy wasn't just talking, she had proof. "Are you positive that everything is all right?" The language used in the thread between Chrissy and Moses was suspicious as hell, but it wasn't very romantic. Remember, Moses and Jim Jones had never been cool like that, so why was Moses managing anything for Chrissy? "Chrissy, you mean nobody is asking questions?" "No, just keep taking care of what has to be done. You know I've got this. As long as you keep your end tight, I won't be concerned about anything." You are aware of what transpired next. The last punch was administered by Yandy, who snatched up her purse, rolled her eyes, and ran out. Currently, Chrissy was enraged and turned to face the audience, shaking her head as though Yandy were insane and you all really thought this crap was true. But you know what? The last hit was administered by Yandy because not everyone in the room was supporting her. Some were muttering and laughing, and you know how quickly things spread once creepiness creeps in. Mendeecees didn't answer anything, didn't dispute it, and didn't try to clear his name. He just remained silent. This is why, within hours of the footage of the altercation going viral online, blogs and Twitter were in a frenzy, and people began to wonder if there was any truth to it. If Moses is anything, he enjoys defending himself. So why didn't he speak up now, unless he realized he couldn't? When Yandy brought her kids out of the house, once she was finished with him, they remarked. However, if what Yandy was saying was accurate, then M has been deceiving her for years, and Chrissy has been acting craftily the entire time, so it's not just a worthless dispute. Not to mention the most important query of all, what precisely is Chrissy's advantage over Mendeecees? My friends recall how Dre said that everyone shuddered when Mendeecees told him she had something on him. Why hasn't Jim spoken up? And how could Chrissy know that Mendeecees is still acting in the same manner? This tale is far from ended, so let's keep an eye on it since, as you well know, the internet is swallowing it. We break down exactly what Chrissy has over Moses in part 3, And if you thought the first two parts were wild, you won't be prepared for what's about to happen. We also explain why he might never be able to back out of whatever agreement they have. After the altercation with Yandy, Chrissy hurried out of the room, as if she were being followed. The belief spreads because social media allows people to fabricate stories. The initial assumption was that Yandy was unaware of Chrissy's and my past relationship, possibly before Jim and before Yandy. That theory, however, was short-lived as additional information began to surface. Chrissy was supposedly linked to some of the same individuals Mies was dealing with, so it seems that there's more to that tale than we previously realized. Mies has served time for drug trafficking, as we are all aware. The startling aspect was this. The tale was completely altered by information revealed by a purported industry insider who says they had been in the business for years. She was also involved, not simply as an outsider. Let's pause for a moment because if that's the case, the entire issue changes completely. Chrissy has actual legal power over Mendeecees, which is why he can't stop communicating with her because she might start talking, and Mendeecees can't afford that. It's not just about covert meetings and cunning texting. Now, because this is crazy, let's go back a bit. Before Moses was imprisoned in the early 2000s, it appears that he and Chrissy probably thought he would forget all of that when he was first locked up. But she didn't, and more importantly, she kept receipts because, according to the so-called insider, Chrissy had information that could land Mies in serious trouble. Chrissy has always been deep in the streets. You all remember that she was moving with some real power players back in the day, and sources claim that she knew a little too much about certain people's operations, including his. She appears to never forget that he owes her, which is the reason he can't completely leave her. People began to piece together the data and realize that this isn't the first time Chrissy has used information as leverage, so this portion will make your head spin. You see, Chrissy wasn't just a Jim Jones lady in the past. She was surrounded by some of the biggest hip-hop figures, and let's just say that she had knowledge that many would prefer to keep hidden, which is how she was able to influence others. We're unwilling to confront her since she would begin to speak, and it now appears that Mendeecees is just another victim of hers. However, Jim Jones hasn't tweeted or made any statements, as you may have observed, and let's face it, he doesn't usually keep his mouth shut. So why is he suddenly acting as though he doesn't see what's happening? He may not want to smoke because, let's face it, if Chrissy has dirt on me, who's to blame? Others claim he was previously aware of Chrissy and M's arrangement. If the reports are accurate, Yandy just got away with it because, let's be honest, if Chrissy has been bitter about me for years, who can say that this drama won't eventually catch up with him? The damage is already done though. She packed her bags, dipped, and departed with the kids the last time we looked. Can you really hold her responsible for this? This was most likely the final straw for her after everything she had to endure with Moses. It's finished already. Chrissy only makes her already tarnished reputation worse. The real concern is whether Chrissy will start talking because, if she does have dirt on Mies, what's stopping her from revealing it? Yandy may have just avoided a worse predicament now that he has to respond to some serious questions. Even better, what if she has already? What if the text thread leak was only the start? What happens if Chrissy tells him the truth and leaves him in the dark? What are you doing if you haven't subscribed yet? This story is just going to get wilder, so click that button, activate your notifications, and prepare yourself. In the upcoming days, I'll see you. Get out of here, people. Trust me, when the next piece of tea drops, we'll be right here to break it all down because this story isn't finished yet. Please leave a comment below with your ideas so I know which side you all favor. Boiling? And I know the comment section will blow up, so I had to question what you guys think is actually happening here. Is Chrissy playing checkers while everyone else is playing chess? Is Mendeecees really unable to get out of his current predicament? Above all, what is Yandy going to do next? I wouldn't be shocked if someone soon leaked even more receipts if this controversy continues as it is. Tell me which side you guys support by leaving a comment below. We're not done yet, so please hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and turn on those notifications. If you're searching for the most recent savage and explosive celebrity disagreements, you've come to the correct place. The scenario update that follows will, even crazier. I'll see you all for the next one. Save your mess. Don't